Hey my friends, welcome to Project Unchained. Common denominator. Let's chat about it. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Most people, it's probably the shared multiple denominators of several fractions. But we're not here for math lessons. We're here for life lessons, sharing of life's philosophies, and learning to break free from those figurative chains so that we can go out and do, be, and create amazing things in our life. So common denominator, what is it? Another definition of it is a feature whereby all members of a group share that commonality. We're not necessarily worried about that. We're here for ourselves. So what is the common denominator? It's you. You are the common denominator, just as I am the common denominator in my life. Every life experience you ever have, you are the common denominator. Every good, every mediocre, every bad, every crappy life experience you ever have, you're the common denominator. Let me share a story with you. Several years ago, back in 2007, I started dating a woman. I had been really lonely leading up to that time, so it was easy to catch me. I was an easy catch. I sacrificed myself for literally anything at that time period in my life. I also really fell in love with being the father to her son, Ian. Ian was a wonderful little boy. I really enjoyed being there and being a part of his life. I really enjoyed being his father for the time that I could be. I was with her for 2 years. I was his dad for 2 years. It was a very toxic relationship. A lot of our pain and hurt was expressed back and forth at each other. That relationship lasted for a little over 2 years. A little over 2 years longer than it should have, but nonetheless, that was a different phase of my life. The thing about that, I had a really hard time letting go for a whole bunch of different reasons. But that's not necessarily why we're here today. I carried around so much piss and vinegar about that for so many years afterwards that it continued to limit my life. Even once I moved on, once I broke up and ended that relationship, it continued to limit my life. Because I was so pissed. I held on to so much anger and resentment towards her, towards the whole experience of those things happened to me. It broke my trust for other people. For the longest time, when I would go out and try to meet people and have other relationships with other people, the second that there was a kid involved, boom, gun, done, gone, done. I was out. Part of that was because I didn't want to go through with the experience of losing a kid again. I didn't want to get close to another kid and have to say goodbye to that kid. And that was what I had to do with Ian. I had to make a very tough choice to say goodbye to him. I knew that if I continued to try and be in his life, at the time when I ended that relationship, I really believed that if I tried to stay in his life, that I was just going to get abused more emotionally than I already was. And I needed to eliminate that from my life. I needed to make a big shift and change, and that was the only way that I was going to be able to make that big shift and change. And it hurt. It hurt really bad. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about Ian and hope that he is well out there somewhere. And I'm at that point in my life where, I hope everybody's well. I hope she is well as well. A lot of that took a long time to get to that point. And one of the biggest things that helped me get to that point where I was able to let go of all that anger and all that hurt and all that mistrust that I had for people was I had to look at the common denominator. Me. All the bad relationships I ever had, all the friend zonings I ever had, all that stuff. I was the common denominator. And it wasn't that I didn't trust other people. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to make choices that valued and benefited my well-being. I was the common denominator. And that's the thing, so are you. Every life experience, everything we do in our life, we are the common denominator. There is no getting away from that. That is a fact of life. You are the common denominator of your life and your life experiences. What does that mean? Well, it means we got to take radical personal responsibility. If we are the common denominator to our life, that means we are at a minimum, we are co-contributing to every single one of those experiences and every single one of those events that we ever have. Every single one of them, we are a contributor to that experience. So where that helped me move on from was I embraced that. I had to realize, okay, I'm a contributor to this situation. I am a contributor to those hardships and those problems in my life. What can I do to contribute a different experience? If I no longer want these kinds of experiences in my life, what can I do? How can I show up differently? How can I take responsibility for myself, for my behaviors, for my actions, for my boundaries, all those different things? And how can I be a better co-contributor and a better contributor to my life experiences? The only way I can do that is by embracing that radical personal responsibility, by realizing that I'm the common denominator. I have to do that. When I deny that, when I don't accept that personal responsibility, if I deny that common denominator principle, I'm giving my power away. I'm letting other people be the contributor or main contributor, main driver to my experiences. It doesn't work well that way. That's what you're doing. You're giving the keys to somebody else who's not in touch with your life and your needs when you're not taking that radical personal responsibility. A lot of people don't do that because it's scary. They don't want to take that responsibility. They don't want to believe that they're the contributor to those bad life experiences. We have to own it. And if we don't own it and we don't take that personal responsibility, we're not going to see the lessons that we're supposed to learn from that moment. We're not going to see the lessons that we're supposed to learn from those experiences. When I was able to take that responsibility and realize that I was a common denominator, I could look back at many of those life's events and look back at that failed relationship and realize, okay, I see where I showed up poorly. I see where I showed up denying my truth and denying my participation in those events and the unfolding of those events. And I see how I participated in the toxicity of that relationship. It's not all her, but for the longest time, I sure as heck did blame it all on her. She did that to me, she hurt me, she did this, she did that. Gave away all my power. Allowed myself to be a victim of that experience rather than be empowered to learn from that experience. And that's the massive difference when we take radical personal responsibility. When we embrace the fact that we're the common denominator to those life experiences, we learn from them, we grow from them. There is no growth, there is no expansion, there is no benefit to that experience if we blame it on other people. If somebody else did that to us, we don't get the benefit from that experience. We're going to be shackled and limited by it. And I'm not here to be in that state of limitation anymore. I'm here because I'm breaking free from that. And I'm especially here because I want to share with you how we can continue to do that. How we can continue to shift away from those things as being happened to us and having happened for us. And that is through that responsibility. So I want to challenge you all sometime. I want you to get that journal out again that we talk about, that we use, that we can write stuff out and get our thoughts all squared away and lay it all out. I want you to assess your level of responsibility. I want you to assess your level of acceptance of that common denominator theory. Not theory, that common denominator, fact of life. You are the common denominator. So assess that. Where are you having hardship in your life? And what about that event and that experience are you denying your responsibility? Are you denying the ways that you're showing up and the ways that you're participating in the unfolding of those events? And where can you take back that responsibility and be a more powerful contributor to those experiences? When you embrace that, when you embrace the fact that you're a common denominator in your life, and you embrace that responsibility, you become a powerful contributor to the experiences that you do want to participate in. If you don't accept that, you'll continue to contribute to experiences that you probably don't want to be having. And there'll be hardships. And it won't be fun. It's a choice. The choice is yours. So go accept that challenge, assess some of that responsibility. It's scary, embrace it. When it's scary, that really means it's something that we need to lean into. So lean into that. Play around with it. Hit me up. Let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends, share any of the videos with your friends that have helped you break free from some of those limitations that are existent in your life. Let's get unchained.